Hello there, my name is Eric Fernandez and I'm glad to introduce you version 2.0 of the Virtual Roll Call application as part of the FIU Computer and Information Science Senior Project for 2017. The other team members are Oscar Gianelli, also working as a software developer like me, Jason Cohen, Mayor of the Pinecrest Police Department, and Masoud Sajjadi, our instructor for this senior project. Police officers use the roll call system as a means to relay important information at the beginning of each shift. Unfortunately, many officers are sometimes unable to attend roll due to various circumstances such as traffic, court obligations, and early assignments. Virtual roll call was a solution deemed fit by the Pinecrest Police Department to allow officers to view information provided at a roll call at their earliest convenience without missing any vital information. Virtual Roll Call is a web application that allows supervisors to upload documents to the system and officers to view and download these documents. The application is completely customizable by administrators who can add, edit, delete users from the system, add categories to upload documents under, and change logo and the department name so that police departments can use this system in the future. By having the roll call system virtualized, officers are always up to date on the latest briefings and can carry out their tasks efficiently, which will be a great service to our community. The three actors of the virtual roll call are officer, supervisor, and administrator. In this diagram, you can see all the application use cases for each of the actors, where the officer can change his password, log in and log out, and view each document category from which he can browse either current documents or archived documents, and for any case, the officer is able to change the status of the document from pending to reviewed and finally into done. Also, every time the officer touches a document, the system creates a log. The supervisor has access to all officer features. In addition to that, he can manage documents, manage password, and generate a report log. Finally, the administrator has access to all previous features, and in addition to that, he can manage users, manage categories, customize settings, and physically delete documents. As far as the system architecture goes, we use the Model View Controller. Model View Controller is an architectural pattern commonly used for designing web applications. As the name implies, there are three major components in this architecture. Model manages the data and logic of the application. View, the user interface of the application. Controller, receive user inputs and modify data in the model. The virtual roll call also uses a client-server model, which is an application structured used in distributed system. The client makes requests to the server via the internet, and the server responds to the client with the requested information. Virtual Roll Call is hosted on a Linux Ubuntu virtual machine, and clients can use the application and perform actions through the server. Here you can see the minimal class diagram, which is divided into client side and server side, and clearly shows the Model View Controller architectural pattern explained before. At the bottom layer, we can see the views for admin profile, supervisor profile, and officer profile, which directly interacts with the above layer using the share controller, which is commonly shared between all of them, and each of the views has its own controller, admin controller, supervisor controller, and officer controller. All these layers make requests to the next layer, which is the data service, and further into the server side into the DB handler and MySQL database. Here is a list of user stories that we have developed for version 2.0. Number 1. User Story 249. View Documents. This feature allows officers to view the images and PDF documents within the browser, replacing the previous functionality that will always force users to download the documents. Documents not supported to be opened by the browser, such as Word, Excel, and PowerPoints, will still have to be downloaded. Number 2. User Story 233. Add Document Confirmation. The document confirmation allows officers to keep track of the status for each document to make sure they don't miss any, and that once they finish reviewing the document, they can click on the disclaimer checkmark and agree they have read and understand the content of the documents. This feature also allows supervisors to generate a report by officer where they can see what documents are pending to be reviewed by each officer, as well as to hold the officers accountable for the content of the documents. Number 3. User Story 244. Add User Log. With this feature, the system will create a log every time a document is reviewed by officers. Also, supervisors can generate a report with the log information and export it into Excel or PDF. Number 4. User Story 231. Change Role View. This feature allows administrators to access the supervisors and officers' views and features, as well as supervisors to access the officers' views and features. Number 5. User Story 245. Archive Documents. The Archive Documents feature moves all documents older than 7 days into the Archive section for each category, and in addition to that, it allows administrators to physically delete documents using a day range whenever they need to clean up some space in the server. Now we will quickly review the user stories in more details. User Story 249, View Documents in App. So I can show you how the officers will be able to visualize PDF documents opening in a new tab in the browser instead of having to download this document. For the user story of Add Document Confirmation, we can see here how the officer is looking into the below category, and at this time all documents are with status pending. And at the time he clicks on one of those documents, it will first change to status reviewed, and further when they click on the check mark for the disclaimer, it will change to status done. This is the sequence diagram for document confirmation, and as you can see, it goes through all the several layers we previously mentioned, starting from the user interface, going then into the officer controller, and then moving into the data service, and finally into the DB handler and database, and then it will return a success message all the way back. Add user log. As the system generates a log every time users click on the documents, the supervisors will be able to generate this report with those logs, and they will be able to find out how many times the officers has clicked on the documents, which documents has still pending status or review status or even done. And also he will be able to see the start date and completed date and duration for the reading of that document. This is the sequence diagram where the officer will click on the document, then a request will be sent into the officer controller, further into the data service, then into the DB handler layer, and finally execute the script on the database and returning a success message all the way back. For the user story of changing the role view, as you can see, from the administrator profile, he is able to access the supervisor profile and the officer profile as shown on the top bar, where you have the links to go into the supervisor or into the officer. And finally, the archived documents, it basically is divided into two different ways of archiving. The first one will be that every document older than 7 days will be automatically moved into the archive section of each category. And also for administrators, they will have the option to physically delete documents using a day range whenever they need to clean up some space on the server. This is the sequence diagram for archiving documents older than 7 days. We'll go through the same process we have previously mentioned. And this is the sequence diagram for physically deleting documents from the server. Then we will show you really quick the test cases. We'll not go into details, but if you would like to read it, you can slowly play the video and read each of the test cases. This is test case for add document confirmation, sunny day, and rainy day. Test case for add user logs, sunny day. Test case for archive documents, sunny day, rainy day. Test case for view documents in app, sunny day, rainy day. And finally, as a summary, we can say we were able to fix all previous bugs and add the required new features to start using the app in production. We did a lot of enhancements on the user interface. We also managed to implement the new required features of logs, document status, and document confirmation. We also implemented report capabilities with options to filter and option to export report into PDF and Excel. Thank you very much.